Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the September Clark County Association of Realtors membership meeting. I am Heather Renner, your 2024 CCAR president. First, we would like to thank our generous sponsor, Lifetime Green Coatings. Please welcome Alex Reagan.
All right. Well, thank you, Heather. First off, can everyone see me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. All right. Well, let me first start off by saying that I actually grew up in the residential real estate industry. My mom was a real estate agent for several years, right up the I-5 corridor in a small community outside of Olympia. And I remember all the showings and the weekly tours and the open houses that she would bring me to. And I also remember all the anxiety that comes as the day of closing approaches, hoping underwriting, doesn't hit a snag, or the one thing we're all fearful of is the buyer goes out and finances a new car the day before closing, which, let's face it, always seems to happen. Well, this experience and the appreciation for real estate has allowed me to become, pretty successful as a small real estate investor over the last 20 years. And having said all that, it feels very much at home when I'm speaking to all here today. So with this familiarity, it allows me to recognize that there are synergies between this community of real estate professionals and the value of Lifetime Green Coatings. So LGC offers an all-natural alternative to traditional epoxy and polyurea-based coating products for the residential indoor and outdoor floors. We specialize in the residential space in garages, patios, walkways, and pool decks, along with a number of commercial and light industrial applications. We are a locally owned and locally operated company, but also is one that actually has a national backing. We've done over 2.5 million square feet of coatings over the last 3 years with a less than 1% warranty callback issue. So we feel very comfortable and about our product. It is non-toxic, which means it's safe for family and for pets. It's more durable than our competitors, which makes it perfect for either new construction or remodeling. And it comes in a wide variety of color combinations. And the biggest thing is it comes with a lifetime warranty against product or installation failures. So now that you have a background today, I'm proud to announce that we are launching the LGC Home Owner Transition Program. It's entirely focused on helping residential home sellers increase their curb appeal, add real value, and set their home apart from other homes on the market with zero out-of-pocket costs. This is a unique program that's offered only by LGC and offers a way to make your sellers' homes more attractive and stand out without having to reduce the price. So additional details will be coming via email and brochures to the office near you. So I am actually very proud to come here today and represent Lifetime Green Coatings. In my opinion, albeit biased, it is the next evolution of floor coatings. We are featured in this year's parade of homes up in Philida. So come give us a visit on house number 3 and check out our product. And just because it is the Builder and Real Estate Appreciation Day, I left some extra special swag to show my token of appreciation for all of the real estate agents in Clark County. So come give us a look and don't miss out. So thank you to Heather and to Kristen for the opportunity to introduce myself and Lifetime Green Coatings. And with that, back to Heather.
Thank you so much, Alex. And by the way, welcome to CCAR as a new affiliate member. We're excited to have you. All right.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys go out and check that out. House number 3 is what Alex said. And thank you for that shout out too, that it's Realtor Day at the Parade of Homes. All right. Before we hear from our guest speaker, please welcome Connie Beauvais, president of our foundation board. Connie will give us an update on upcoming events that benefit the Clark County Realtor Foundation. Connie?
Thank you, Heather. I just wanted to remind everybody that our last major fundraiser is our annual Boo Bowl event at Crosley Lanes. It's going to be on October 25th. They'll be starting at 1 o'clock, and there is a link in the chat that you can register a team. If you don't have 4 people that you can get together for a team, feel free to even sign up as teams of 2. We can put some people together. It's a great event. Everybody really enjoys it. It's your one opportunity to still dress up as an adult for October for Halloween. So we encourage everybody to attend. And then if you would like to find out more about what our foundation, the different nonprofits that we support throughout the year, the money that we raise, almost 100% goes back to these organizations. It's the underprivileged children, women, families, elderly, and the veterans in Clark County. The money that we raise goes for such a wonderful cause, and it's a lot of these smaller nonprofits that don't get the support from they don't have the fundraising efforts. So they really look forward to the monies that we award them with the grants. So our grant reception is going to be at the Union Chapel, which is downtown on 806 Main Street. It starts from 4 to 6 o'clock in the evening. It's free to our members. So if you've never attended, it's a wonderful opportunity just to see what our association does as far as giving back to the community.
Thank you so much, Connie. We absolutely look forward to these events and hope that all of our members will take part. They're wonderful networking opportunities. I did see in the chat, just a quick little reminder for Boot Bowl, it is actually 5 folks for team members. And then I'm really hoping that this year at the grant reception that we've got some tissues on the tables, because I've been to these a couple different times and they're wonderful. Connie is absolutely correct and stating how we get to find out more about these wonderful organizations, and you can't help but to have a little bit of a emotion with that. So I'm so proud and honored to be a part of that. Thank you, Connie. All right. Well, I'm honored to present today's featured speaker, Dennis Giannetti. Dennis is the owner of Progress Partners Coaching. He is a master ninja selling instructor, a certified go-giver speaker, and a certified strategic innovation and 6 human needs life and business coach through, of course, Tony Robbins and Medane's coach training. He has been in the real estate business since 2000. Dennis has been a speaker, coach, and trainer nationally since 1995. Dennis's information can be found at progresspartners.pro, and I believe we'll have that website link in the chat. We will put, oh, well, there you go. We'll put that in the website chat. See if I just follow the script. There you go. Anyway, welcome, Dennis. We're excited to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to get in front of people anytime I can, because ultimately we're all in this together, and it's important for us to really connect in any way that we can, mentally, emotionally, in person, on Zoom, whatever it is. It's important when you're an entrepreneur. So that said, we're in September, which means one thing. It's almost the 4th quarter of 2024. The question I have for you as we get started here, though, is how do you want to run this last leg of your race? Think about that for a second before I go to the next part. How do you want to run this last leg of your race, these last 3 months, finishing the year, as we tend to say, strong? What does that look like to you? What does that feel like to you? Are you in catch-up mode? Are you in top it off with the cherry mode? It's important. It's the last quarter. Many of us are going to say strong. I want to finish strong. But here's the catch. And I just want to be direct and honest and say, here's the catch. What happens in the 4th quarter, though, was kind of predetermined in the 3rd quarter. The things that we do then are going to give us the results that we have soon to come. In our business, that's just how it works. In order for us to create opportunity, the opportunity starts before the opportunity happens. And we need to know that, because when we don't, it ends up costing us business. One of my favorite lines, and I don't mean this in a funny way, but I just hear it so many times. One of my favorite lines in the business is this. Maybe you can resonate with it. I know what to do. I just need to do it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that line. When it's the 17th time we've said it, there's something wrong with it. The fact of the matter is that success in this business, whether you're a top producer or working your way up, has more to do, and this is the breakthrough mindset I want you to have, has more to do with what we do versus what we don't. It has more to do with our consistency than our intensity. How hard we work when things are bad or when we're really driven temporarily is not the same as being consistent in and out and every day. As an entrepreneur, you have to decide one of two things. Are you an owner or are you an operator? See, when you're an owner, that means you own the business. That means you're responsible to and for everything in the business. When you're an operator, you're just self-employed. You go, well, what's the difference? Well, when you feel self-employed, when you're an operator, you're just kind of doing things as if it was a job. And your paycheck is contingent on you showing up as an owner. You know, some of us back in the day, including myself, have had people come up and say, oh, you're in real estate? Why don't you get a real job? Used to bother me. And then I realized something and I came back with a really good phrase. When I heard it for the third or fourth time, I says, well, let me tell you something. There isn't anything more real than not getting paid unless you do your job. So while people think, well, get a real job, this is real, real, real. But we have to take it seriously as an owner for that to happen. See, the bottom line is people get to where they want to go for one reason. It's because they know where they want to go. We can't guess. We can't hope. We can't wonder. You have to know where it is you want to go. You have to be certain. When you're not certain about where you want to go, you become uncertain in the journey in your attempt to get there. And like a rubber band, if we try to go too fast, it'll snap back and it'll hurt us. But if we take the slow path, but the consistent path, that rubber band, little by little, loses its elasticity. The circle gets bigger and there's no pain involved because it's not snapping back. See, many of us don't really know where we want to go. And the reason is because of judgment, because of the fact that most of us are driven by outside expectations rather than our own internal satisfaction of our success in ourselves. And it's easy to understand that because we've lived our whole lives by judgment and comparison. So it's so much easier to find distractions than it is to have a committed direction. If I feel like I say I'm going to do this much this year or this much this month, and I put it out there, I get nervous, right? I can get nervous as an entrepreneur, as a realtor. What if I don't? What if I say I'm going to do it and I don't? What if I make the board this month, but then I don't the next couple months? Everybody's going to know that I was lucky. And I know this sounds strange, but yet someone helped me understand the 80-20 rule. 80% of the money goes to 20% of the agents. Why? It's a lot of times because of this. It's not the skill set. It's not even how much money you have to start. It's about what you want, knowing you want it, your drive, your commitment, the development of habits, being consistent each and every day. The fact is, reasons won't get results. We can have all the reasons in the world, but we're not going to have results. And our past isn't the problem. It's where we stand today and the decisions we make for tomorrow that matters. It's not our outcomes, it's who we become in that process. And that's where we really got to break through if we want to be successful. You know, it's funny, back in 2007, when I was running an office in Florida, a lot of agents left the business because of what went on with the mortgage situation at that point. And it was interesting because as people started to leave, I noticed there's this one agent that was just in my office that was just, as we say, killing it, right? Destroying it. They were doing awesome. And I asked them, it was actually a team, I said, a husband and wife team, actually, Dwayne and Linda. I said, how come you guys are doing so well when so many people seem to be leaving the business? And I'll never forget their response. And they use a little bit of a metaphor. They said, well, you see, Dennis, it's like this. When everybody in a situation like this leaves their farm, we walk into that farm, we plant seeds, and then we water them with their tears of regret. I was like, wow, that was like a loud mic drop. And I'm like, so what you're saying is real estate, being an owner, not just an operator, has a lot to do with your resilience. Because if things are up or they're down, or they're up or they're down, and you feel like you're on a real estate roller coaster, that has more to do with our consistency and our resilience than it does the market. There are a lot of people when the market struggles, they say, oh man, the market's so bad. Was it not good not too long ago? And here's the trick. When the market was really good not too long ago and we made a lot of money, what happened? We spent it. Not everybody, but a lot of people spent it. So then when the market shifts back to normal or less, and we were used to making X over here, but now it's lower than that, we start to freak out. Because to run our business like a business means to have a budget to run like a business, which means that we can't just spend our money because it happens to be double or triple what we made last year because the market was good for 6 or 7 months. It means we got to decide how much of that goes to my expenses, how much can I splurge a little, and what's got to go back into the business so I can leverage this great market to carry me through the ones that wouldn't normally be that good. These are the breakthroughs. We have to understand this stuff because the difference between making a good amount of money consistently and not making that money is going to be your mindset. It's like that old expression. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I never understood that. Why would someone want to take an animal as large as a horse and just try to pull it to water? You know how you make the horse drink? You make the horse thirsty. And that's a metaphor that we got to use for ourselves. We're the horse. The water's over there. All we have to do is follow this plan. All we have to do is stay on track. All we have to do is measure our results, be consistent, stay in flow with people. We have to be thirsty for the water. But instead, sometimes we get over there and we're afraid we're going to go sip the water and it's going to be poison, or maybe we don't deserve the water, or maybe we'll go halfway and we won't make it. It's gets into our mind that stops us from having the results that we want. But there is more. It's not just a good mindset. Although people will ask me, they go, does positive thinking really work? Well, I've tried negative thinking, not a good look for me. Probably not for you either. It's not that positive thinking works. It's that if you're not following it up with the right habits, the right behaviors, if you're not consistent, positive thinking goes away like anything else. A lot of people are negative today, but they're not really negative. They're just looking for an excuse not to try to be more positive. They're just looking for a reason as to why they aren't where they want to be yet. And it's so much easier to point the finger than it is to open up the hand. You can't receive in your heart, mind, and soul when your finger's pointed at an excuse or a reason. It doesn't work like that. This business requires that from us. It just does. We don't have to have a great mindset. We could still make a living doing real estate, but is that what you got into it for? You didn't do it to make a living. You did it because you want to create a different kind of life. And that requires a blueprint, which comes after the breakthrough. So here's what I mean when I say blueprint. First, we have to stop looking in retrospect and start looking in real time. Whatever happened then is different than what's going on now. Ironically, what did happen then, if you paid attention, you had the right outcomes meshed up with the right habits, we would actually be in a great place right now. If we don't, then we're always starting over. We're always beginning it again. So we got to look at where we are right now and understand the rear view mirror, our lessons of the past has value, but it's the windshield that has the clarity that you need right now going forward. Your future, in a way, is the present that hasn't happened yet. But the problem is we're always so busy defining ourselves by what we're going to become in the future, we forget we can't get in there until we get in the DeLorean in the first place. We literally have to decide now what our future is going to be and then act as if it is now. You want to be a $30 million producer versus a $10 million producer, then act as if you were a $30 million producer right now. It's not something you aspire to. It's something you literally transform into by taking on the mindset, the habits, and all the things that you need to do to become that person. So the best way, in a way, to create a successful future is to be the person you want to be 10 years from now. Think about it. Where would you like to be, whether you want to say 5 years from now or 10 years from now? Where do you want to be? What would you be making? Where would your business come from? What would your life be like? And we start thinking about all that stuff and it's exciting. And we're like, yeah, this is what I want. This is who I want to be. This is what I want to have, whatever it is. But all you have to do to make that a reality is start now as if it already was. Now, people might say, well, that's easy for you to say. I got bills to pay that I can't afford, which is what a person who will never make $30 million a year will say, or in volume, either one. You have to act as if. You have to have this confidence about you and this belief in yourself that if I just act as if I'm already where I want to be, I'll get there. But when we measure the gap between where we are and where we want to be, we forget to celebrate the gains that we make each and every day on that journey. It's not about what your final number is what did you do and who did you have to become to get there? step by step by step, consistently, and measuring what works. Here's some questions I want to give you so that you can create a little blueprint of your own. So if you got a pen and a paper or you do it on your phone, I'd suggest writing these down. And it's just 4 questions, really. Question number 1, very simple question. What do you want? Now you can apply this to your life, to your relationship, to your business. I find in the real estate business that if your relationship isn't good at home, your business will suffer. But if your relationship is great at home, your business thrives. Right? So at the end of the day, that relationship matters. So maybe the relationship, maybe your business, maybe your health. What do you want? Always an important question. But then the second question kind of sneaks in. And trust me, guys, when you're out of here today, answer these questions while it's fresh in your mind. Second question after what do you want? Why do you want it? Right? There's an old expression, a person who has a strong enough why can do anyhow. And that's important. We don't always recognize that, right? You'll say, this is what I want. I know how to do it. Remember, I know what to do. I just need to do it. I know how to do it. But why? What's the drive? That's key. Without a strong enough why, we go and we stop, and we go and we stop. As a manager, I've had agents come to my office and say, I need some help. I go, what's going on? They go, I've got nothing in the pipeline. I said the same thing almost every single time, and it was correct almost every single time. You have nothing in the pipeline. They go, yeah. I go, you must have had a couple deals closed recently. They go, yeah, that's true. How did you know? I mean, other than me knowing as a manager, I said, because whenever we tend to get deals from lead generating, we stop lead generating and only do the deals. And they would say to me, but I don't have time. I was working with the people. I go, and now look at all the time you got. The only difference is you're going to have to wait at least 90 days for the next deal because you didn't do your 90 hours last month while you're working with everybody else trying to create your business. It doesn't stop. And oh, by the way, the better you do with the clients that you have while you're working them, referrals are 3 to 2. You give people an exceptional experience, they'll refer to you. You give them an average experience, they might not. People refer because you make them look good. They don't refer because you make them look bad. And that's the idea. How is the experience that they have? So on and so forth. So what do you want? Why do you want it? But here's where it gets interesting. If you ask the what do you want, and you've gone through the why do you want it, ask this question. When I say, here's why I want it, because then I could pay all my bills, or then I could feel like I was a success. Next question I would ask you as the coach is, and why is that important to you? So someone says, well, because I want this to happen. Why I want it is I want to feel successful. And why is that important to you? Well, because I never really have ever felt successful, and now I want to. So why is it important that you never have before? Well, because everything I tried, I always came up short. I always failed. I always this, I always that. I was always told that if I got a B, I should have got an A. I was always put on the team, but put on the bench. And that's how I grew up. So now I feel like I'm always coming up short. Our greatest competition are other realtors. Our greatest competition is our childhood. We are putting anchors in the water and not getting the sales because we're not letting go of something that happened before that no longer exists except for in our head. So we have to do the 7 levels deep and say, why is this important to me? And then ask it again and again and again until you can't answer it anymore. Most people go 3, 4, 5, 7 levels deep before they get the true answer. Someone asked me the other day that they're having trouble from things in their past, and this is hurting their business and their relationship now. I said, give me 30 minutes. We'll take care of it. Going to talk with them tomorrow at 11:30, my time. And so, and I guarantee it'll work because it really just sometimes as simple as this. Now, what comes after the why is it important to you? Now, once you know the what you want, why you want it, and why that's important to you, really important to you, what are the 3 most important activities that you can commit to? We call it a 3 to thrive in the Tony Robbins world. What are the 3 most important activities that you can commit to that will, and I don't just mean weekly, I mean weekly and daily to get you where you want to go? Some examples I could share, for example, maybe a morning and evening routine. You know, a lot of people push morning routine. I think that's a great idea, but I think you also need an evening routine. You have a get up and go morning routine. You should have a relax an hour before you go to bed, celebrate, think great things about the day, think about the great things happening tomorrow so you can sleep without having to watch Groundhog Day on Netflix for the 75th time because you couldn't sleep. Right? Which, by the way, ironically, when you watch Groundhog Day that much, your life becomes one. And so morning and evening routines, relationship building, these are just things that make the most sense if you want to build your business quick. Morning and evening routines, relationship building, and then have process excellence in your lead generation process, your buyer and seller processes. When you're excellent in your processes, the experience for your customer is so good. Not only will they use you, but they'll tend to refer you. And just two quick thoughts for you on that when it comes to process. It's better to be more curious than serious. And it's better to be more interested than interesting. Let me give you an example. I knew this one agent that I coached with, and she was saying, it's weird. I try really hard to connect with people and it doesn't seem to work. I say, well, let's role play for that second. So I come up to you and I go, hey, how are you? Good to meet you. And they go, so where are you from? And I said, oh, I'm from Massachusetts. And they go, oh, I know people in Massachusetts. And I'm like, oh, well, that's good. She goes, well, where in Massachusetts are you from? She goes, I said, well, from Cape Cod. She goes, oh, I've been to Cape Cod once. You're not connecting, you're competing. You don't connect with someone because you have things in common until they feel it's safe to have things in common with you. So when someone says, well, I'm from Massachusetts, say, oh, that's interesting. Where in Massachusetts? And then I say, from Cape Cod. Oh, how did you like living on the Cape? And they'll say, it was great. Thank you so much. I had a great time there always going to the beach. The summers were a blast. Well, I was thinking about going up there sometime. What would you recommend? All I'm doing is asking questions. I'm more curious than serious. When you're out with your clients, it's better to be more interested than interesting. How much you know isn't as important as how much information you can gather from them about what they want. I may know everything about the market, but if I fire hose them on that stuff with all my knowledge, they're going to be in confusion mode, not make a decision mode. So from a process perspective on a blueprint, be more curious than serious. Be more interested than interesting. You're going to connect with people better and they're going to want to work with you. It's not about branding yourself the expert, because the truth is your brand is what other people say about you in the room. And what they say about you when you're not in the room is based on what you make them feel like when you were. And nobody feels special when you're the only one talking, with the exception of here, of course, because I only have a certain period of time. Love to have questions, but hey, maybe we will at the end. But right now, a few more things. Big results. What do I mean by big results? Because we did the breakthrough, that mindset, the horse to the water. We talked about the blueprint. How about your habits matter and your consistency matters and the why you want it matters, and measuring the gap and the gain, not just where you want to be, but where you are and the progress you're making day in and day out. See, in my company, when people coach with us, we don't talk about holding you accountable. That basically means, did you make your 10 calls? No, I didn't. Okay, well, how many did you make? 6. Well, why didn't you make 10? Now, I'm not saying it's that direct. That's accountable, like making sure people hit the goal. We do more progress orientation. Someone says, I only made 5 calls. I didn't make 10. So, well, tell me about the 5 calls. Was there one that stood out? Was there one that really enjoyed? Is there one that you would improve? Celebrate what you did. Don't judge yourself for what you didn't, because all that does is give less motivation in your heart, mind, and soul to even want to do it anymore. Well, I keep calling people and nobody answers. Don't make it about people answering. Make it about leaving a wonderful voicemail. People say, well, what if I call and they don't want to do anything? Well, what if you don't call? Then nothing's going to happen anyway. Where's the to-lose factor? Right? The goal isn't that I'm calling for them to sell real estate. How's your family? How's your job? How are things going? I saw that your kid's on a baseball team. People move for the reasons related to their life, not just because the market is good. We'll do that. Oh, this is a great time to sell. No, it's a great time to list. It's a great time to sell, not because the market is good. It's a great time to sell because they just had 2 other children and they need a bigger house, or their kids are off to college and they don't need the big house, or maybe they got a job promotion, or maybe they got laid off. That's why people move. And we don't know that unless we're in flow. I can have all the market knowledge in the world, but if I don't know what's going on with my people, it isn't going to matter to them. The knowledge I have about something that they don't need is useless, but when they do need it, because I know what's going on with them, it's priceless. That's the difference. Last couple things. I want everybody to think for a minute here about what you would like your this is the big results, right? What your 2025 commission goal would be. What is your 2025 commission goal? So write that down. Everybody's writing it down, or they're not writing it down, but it's in their head. And I'm going to assume you wrote it down and it's a good number and everybody feels good about it, right? Usually if I'm in a class, like, raise your hand if you feel good about it. And then they all do, or else why would they pick the number? I only pick numbers that make me feel bad. So they all say, yep, this is good. So now I'm going to ask you a different question. I want you to take that number you wrote down that you said you want to make in 2025 and then double it. Double it. Now, one of two things happen here. People go, I like that number better. Most people, I don't know, that's a large number. What if that's the number that I say and I don't make it? Then I failed. And this is where we have really mistaken what failure is in this industry. See, because here's the thing. Most people would rather aim low and hit than aim high and miss. But the reality is when you aim high and miss, it's almost always more than if you aimed low and hit. Lower standards doesn't make us a success because we hit the goal. And it trains us to accept less because we don't feel like we're worthy of more. You're better off to aim for $400,000 than $200,000, but only make $300,000 because you still did better than if you hit the goal of $200,000. And you told yourself you were worth it. And you said to yourself, I'm going to act as if that's what I am. Even when you come up short, you're ahead because you gave yourself more credit than you would have if you were being quote unquote realistic. Being realistic is just a nice form of pessimistic. To be optimistic, you have to think about doing the impossible. And to do things impossible, all you have to say is, I am possible. This is possible. And even if it doesn't get to where exactly you wanted it to be, it's always going to be better than if you played the small game. There's no win in a small game. If you belong in the major leagues, get out of the minors. It's that simple. And it's easy to do. You just got to commit. So I'm going to give us a real quick story here that ties this in, that hopefully gets you to break free from those lack of results or not getting enough results or not believing yourself to know that you can get as many results as that you want to get. It's a story about this gentleman in California. I'm sure some of you have been in California before, and if not, they have these crazy cliffs overlooking the ocean. It's amazing. And so people, of course, they want to see that. And one guy was jogging and something caught his eye and then he tripped over a rock and he actually fell off the cliff. Now, what was interesting about this is that he fell about 15 feet down, give or take, but there was one of those branches coming out of the cliff, right? So it hurt, but he grabbed onto it, he's holding onto it, and he looks down and he sees a 300+ foot drop. Waves were big, the water was moving all over the place, hitting rocks. And he looks up, and I guess it's a rhetorical question, but what do you think he did? He asked for what? What did he yell for? He yelled for help. He's like, help, help, help. And he hears this voice. And this voice says, I'll help you. And the guy says, great. And the voice says, do you trust me? And the guy looked down and said, yeah. And the voice says, then let go. So the man looked down at the water and he looked up at the guy. And he said, is anybody else up there? So what's the moral of the story? Both faith and fear require belief without proof. That's something people miss a lot. To have one or the other, you must have belief without proof, without evidence. Our fears are often founded in things we think might happen, not what actually is going to happen. The faith that we have in ourselves is that no matter what happens, even if we're afraid, we're going to use that fear to carry forward because we're worth it, because we have people to support, because we have people that are customers that we're going to serve. Let your faith be bigger than your fear, even when you're the most uncertain, even when you're the most concerned, even when you're in your darkest hour and you feel like maybe you shouldn't have gotten in the business, or when you really started to do well, but you're like, I don't know how much better I can do. You decide to go for it anyway, and you scale your business, and the next thing you know, you're doing fantastic. See, you have to let go sometimes of what was and what's holding you back so that you can be the person you were meant to be going forward, which is not necessarily a destiny question. It's just a choice that we make. Tony Robbins said, most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. And I think that's true. Maybe you had a good year this year, maybe you didn't. But if you look back in the past decade to the person you were then, to where you are now, while there might have been some trials and tribulations, I bet you could say you have some very proud moments, some pretty cool successes, and some things that you would never give back, and you're glad that they happened over this last decade. New Year's resolutions, honestly, are for those of us who want a do-over for what we didn't do the year before. Don't make New Year's resolutions. Make New Year evolution. Evolve from where you are now. Don't repeat it and try to be better than where you were, right? I screwed up here, so now I'm going to try that again. The idea is to evolve to wherever you are, to wherever it is you want to be year to year, but think 10 years out. And I get it, guys. And this is the last thing I'm going to tell you. Here's the trick. A lot of people say this all sounds good, and even it's a little bit motivational. But here's the thing about that with the motivation and why that is. And motivation, by the way, it's temporary, guys. When you get excited and you're motivated, it's temporary. It's momentum that counts. And the momentum are in your habits. And your habits create a connection between you and your mind and your emotions, so that you're now consistently doing things that will consistently bring results through that momentum. It's like when people say, I want to get in shape, and they say, well, if you go 3 times a week for an hour each day over a month, you'll get in shape. And they go, okay, so anyway, so that's 3, that's 6, that's 9, that's 12. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on Wednesday at 6 a.m. and then I'm going to leave Wednesday at 6 p.m. and get all my 12 hours in one day. Let me know how that works out for you. But that's how a lot of us run our business, how a lot of us run our life. We wait until it's a must, right? Until we do something, and then it becomes a should and a should and a should. And after a while, you're shoulding all over yourselves, right? Make the musts clear and get them done consistently. And ask yourself, are you willing to break through? Are you willing to blueprint this out and follow that plan so you can get big results? My question to you as I go is this: what if you do? What if you do break through? What if you do create a very cool blueprint? What if you follow it and you get big results? What will your life be like? What if you're fearful of that? What if you're uncertain about that? And what if you don't do it? Then what will your life and your business be like? On the other side of what if and what comes after what if is a huge, huge statement about who you believe you are and who you're going to be. I appreciate the time. I don't know if we have questions or not, but I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Oh my gosh, I've taken like pages and pages and pages of notes. So I'm checking the chat box to see if there's any questions. I'm not seeing anything as of yet, which means that I get to ask you some questions. So
Okay.
I wrote some things down, like some bullet point things from what I'm hearing from you. And obviously it's the mindset, the actions, the consistency, the resilience within that, avoiding those distractions, and kind of what I gathered from that, all of that. And especially just because of the climate of what we're in right now. We've got, the elephant in the room, the NAR settlement, and then of course all the political stuff, which we're not going to go into, of course. But to me, the things that I have been trying to do throughout all of this is just ignoring that, what I would call noise.
Right.
We are in an industry where it's very, very easy to get caught up in all of the comparison side. Well, I'm not this type of salesperson. I'm not this type of, and you spend so much time focusing on what others are doing that you're not focusing on yourself. So I'm hearing, focusing on your plan and your own business and ignoring a lot of that. My question to you though is, as you're evolving, any tips or suggestions with respect to, obviously who you surround yourself with matters, right? And I'm kind of going through that myself, in that I just finished this wonderful book club with a bunch of wonderful ladies, and we were reading this book called Worthy, and it was all about kind of your inner tribe and your outer tribe. It doesn't mean you forget necessarily, but sometimes people they're not ready for you to go on that journey. And so what would your words of advice be to that?
Well, first, the tribe part is an important word, because if you go back to our ancestry all the way to the cave days, we're tribal. If you weren't tribal then, you would die because you couldn't survive on your own most of the time. Now, we're not going to die if we don't have a big tribe now, typically, but inside we kind of do, because the structure of the way things are, you go to school, you get 4 B's and an A, and the question becomes, well, why didn't you get 4 A's or 5 A's? Why is there 4 B's and an A? If you go to make the team and you get on the JV team where they say, oh, you're not good enough to do it. If you try to get a listing and then you lose it, we take these things so personally. But there's nothing personal about them. Most people projections on the rejections that you receive from them are just them trying to feel good in a moment because they feel lousy about themselves. They're judging themselves and they're projecting it onto you. That's why who we hang with matters. Your tribe have to be people who support you. Now, look, there's going to be people in your life that you don't want to be around because they just drive you nuts all the time. So we have a great solution for that. You take them to lunch and you order theirs to go. It works like a charm every single time, right?
Yeah.
The point is that you have to protect you. And what I mean by that is not worrying about the fact that people sometimes are difficult or frustrating or aggravating. Try to learn from them what not to be, if anything, or try to learn from them that, you know, even when people have those issues, they're actually hurting a lot of times. And you don't have to be their therapist, but you just got to like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, keep a short conversation and move it on. But for ourselves, our biggest critic is always, well, ourselves.
Mhm.
When we look in the mirror every day, what do we actually see? Do we see a top producer? Do we see a fantastic mother? Do we see a great partner? And then the question is, now that I see it, what do I do about it? How do I show up in that way? Most of us in the business lose faith in ourselves because simply we're not consistent at creating a practice of faith in ourselves, of training the mind just to do things. Even if you just did 3 things a day, you'd be training your mind to be more positive. But the people that we hang around matter significantly. The places that you work and the culture of that company work matter significantly. Coming to things like this matter significantly. Being around people who want to grow and be more are your tribe.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're the best one in the room. It's okay to be there, but if you're the best one in the room for too long, you're in the wrong room.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Because if you want to step up, you can't hide underneath the staircase that brings you to the place you're supposed to be.
Gotcha.
Doesn't mean you can't visit. You could visit. I'm going to visit them. Hey guys, just visiting. But you got to always elevate up. It feels good to be on the top until you realize how high you could actually go. And then sometimes you say, well, maybe just go up these stairs today. Okay, it's a little freaky, but so was it when you were in the other room before you got there.
Right. Get out of
So we
that
just
comfort zone is what I'm hearing. Yeah. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. And I love, I'll end it with this. I love I do this in my own family. I have a college student. My husband's an engineer tech, and so he's working on all kinds of crazy projects and things. But I love the celebrate those small wins. That's what I got out of that. We focus so much on what we didn't do versus the successes that we did from that whatever activity that could have resulted in something really big. So so thank you so much for that. I'm not really seeing any other questions. If anybody has, if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat and I can certainly read them off. I'm just going to give them just a couple more seconds. I'm not really seeing anything. Okay. Well, thank you so much again. I truly, truly appreciate that. That was great. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback in the chat. So thank you so much, Dennis. It was an honor to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we are getting questions in the chat about the candidates, and yes, we're getting ready to do that right now. So on behalf of the 2025 nominating committee, I am honored to announce the slate of 2025 CCAR director candidates. Our bylaws state that we also allow for candidates to run from the floor, or in this case, the virtual floor. Please note that Realtor members of the Clark County Association of Realtors elects its directors. Directors elect the executive committee. So the possibility exists that any director may eventually be the president of the association. I'm doing what I'm doing here. Before I announce the list of candidates, I'm asking if there are any nominations from the virtual floor for any of the director positions. Any person nominated for a position from the floor must have a Realtor member nominate them and 4, count them 4, seconding Realtor members in order to be added to the slate of nominees. If you are interested in running from the floor or nominating someone, please be sure to put your name in the chat. You can submit those nominations now, and I will allow our folks that are moderating behind the scenes to keep an eye on that for me. All right, the Clark County Association of Realtors 2025 nominating committee presents the slate of candidates as follows. We've got 4 Realtor director positions. We have Connie Beauvais with Windermere Northwest Living.
My name.
And we're going really fast behind the scenes, guys. I'm not even there yet. We've got Myra Brock, Keller Williams, Portland Premier. We have Samuel Sabota, Keller Williams Premier Partners. We do have that one additional position that's still available if we get anybody from the floor. And then for our affiliate director position, we've got Marilee Cornea with Chicago Chicago title, Fidelity National title. And then the nominations committee also announces the 2025 CCAR Executive Committee. For president, we have Amy Wells, John L. Scott. President-elect, we have Anthony Stroud, Professional Realty Services International. Immediate past president is myself. Vice president candidate, Rodney Shimagawa with Homeowners Northwest. Treasurer candidate, Shelley Schmitz of Keller Williams Premier Partners. And our secretary candidate, Julie Baldino with Front Door Realty. All right, so it looks like we are going to wait just a few more seconds for any run from the floor submissions. And again, if you are nominating yourself or someone else, please add that name into the chat. Let's see here, we've got one notification. Looks like someone has submitted their application or hasn't submitted their application. But they do have until September 15th to vote. So we hope that we get that application in. Thank you so much for that comment. Okay, so while we're waiting here just for a few more seconds, I just want to remind everybody that the Parade of Homes, the Realtor Day, is today. Remember that if you do go out there and visit that, you need to make sure you bring a business card, and I'm seeing also an ID, I guess, to make sure that you are who you say you are. And then to my Washington Realtor state directors, I know I texted all of you this morning in our medium-sized board for Clark County, but just a friendly reminder, if you haven't already, I am running for the NAR director for our state as a representative for medium-sized boards, and elections are being done virtually today. I would be honored if you would cast your vote for me. All right. I am not seeing any other nomination candidates from the floor. So right now we're going to go into some videos that our current candidates have submitted to help you get to know them better, and we're going to present those now.
My name is Connie Beauvais, and I work for Windermere Northwest Living. I'm running for the board of director position, and I'm asking for your vote. The reason I'm running for this position is because I am passionate about real estate and our industry. I feel that with the changes our industry has gone through this year, that it is necessary to have a board of directors that can represent the majority of our members in making decisions that best represent our association. I started in real estate in 1987 when I was 24. It was not an easy time to start with a lagging recession, sellers that owed more on their homes than what they were worth, and not having any real estate experience other than buying our first home. When I started in real estate, there was sub-agency and buyers didn't have representation. I was elected to be an agent advocate for the board of directors in the mid-90s when our association was MLS of Southwest Washington. During that time, agency laws changed and buyer agency went into effect. The real estate book went away and our inventory became accessible to everyone on the internet. And the MLS of Southwest Washington joined the RMLS. I've lived and worked through many changes in our industry and through many different market conditions. I've been involved with the association over the years because I feel it's important to share my knowledge, expertise, and day-to-day experiences as a real estate practitioner for the last 37 years to help better our industry. It was a privilege and an honor to serve as the president of the association in 2022. I currently serve on several local and state association committees, as well as being an RMLS board of director. I feel blessed to be able to do what I love doing every day, which is helping my clients with their real estate needs. The reward is the relationships that I built over the years with not only my clients, but also my fellow realtor colleagues and friends. Now more than ever, I feel the need for a voice to be heard as an advocate for property rights for our clients and our industry, professional standards to continue to elevate the professionalism in our business, and advocacy for the underprivileged women, children, elderly, and the veterans in Clark County. That is why I'm asking for your vote. It would be an honor and privilege to continue to serve the needs of the Clark County Association of Realtors as your board of director.
All right, thank you, Connie. So do we have any more additional votes? If one of my behind the scenes moderators can let me know that in the chat so I don't move on. Looks like we've only got the one video. The notifications. There we go. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Myra Brock with Keller Williams Portland Premier, and I'm running for the Board of Directors position again this year. I actually really appreciate you folks letting me sit through halfway through the year. I've learned so much, and I know there's a lot more to be learned, like maybe running a proper meeting or something. No, really, I appreciate having a voice and a vote as to what happens in our industry, which highly affects what happens in our community that I've lived in for 35 years. And 22 of those years, I've been in real estate, and I didn't even know everything that goes on in the background. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a little tanner than all you all. Coming from a totally different background, I bring a completely different vibe and perspective. Okay, so funny story about this little accent of mine. I actually was at a parking lot, and there's a bunch of blonde hair, blue eyed people, and a friend of mine asked if I felt out of place. And I'm like, why? All I see are white people, and I'm white, completely forgetting that I am not. I'm adopted from the Philippines along with my biological sister and a sister from East India, and it's a Caucasian family. And so I forget that I'm not white. The only time I remember that I'm not is when I pronounce things wrong or somebody corrects my grammar. But I may speak with an accent, but I don't think with an accent. So if you want me to stay, please vote for me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Samuel Sabota. I'm with Keller Williams, and I'm honored to be considered for a director position for 2025. I've spent my time here at Keller Williams and in our industry in production, in leadership, in mentoring and coaching. And I've really dedicated my time to helping agents succeed and hopefully elevate the standards of our industry a little bit at the same time. There's a lot of change happening right now, right? And my goal in running is just to continue to support the association and its members through all the changes of this dynamic market. If elected, I commit to advocating for the needs of our members while advancing the goals of the association. I'm very passionate about giving back to an industry that's given so much to me. And I just want us all to come out on the other side of this thriving. And I want us to have a little fun while we're doing it. So I really want to be part of that conversation. I believe in fostering a supportive and inclusive environment where everybody has an opportunity to be the greatest agent that they want to be and build the biggest life that they're willing to work for. So thank you so much for your consideration, and I look forward to serving you in 2025.
Hello to the members of the Clark County Association of Realtors. I'm Marilee Cornea, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be considered to be your 2025 affiliate director. I love the real estate community of Southwest Washington. I've worked in this industry for the past 22 years, and I'm the vice president of sales for Fidelity and Chicago Title. I'm thankful for an experience that I had very early on in my career, where I was invited by the president of the Portland Metro Association of Realtors to serve on the board. It gave me a unique experience to see behind the scenes and the hard work and dedication that goes into serving. I also served on the Oregon Realtors Foundation fundraising committee and was able to see how these funds are used for the advocacy of home ownership and protecting the real estate profession. I've been invited by Heather Renner, our current CCAR president, to consider serving, and I believe in this cause. I believe in the Clark County Association of Realtors, and I know that the investment of our time, money, and resources can make a huge impact on our own community. My own values of service and contribution align with CCAR, and the goal is to empower our members to make an impact in our own communities. Earlier this year, I was able to be a part of a dodgeball tournament that we organized for the benefit of the Realtors Foundation. We raised over $3,200, and it was a fun way to make a huge impact. We work in an industry where every day we get the opportunity to help those in pursuit of the dream of home ownership. I encourage all of you to get more involved with CCAR to find out how amazing this organization is and how we can all give back together and advocate for our community. I would love the opportunity to serve.
All right. Well, thank you so much to everyone that has made their application and submitted their videos. Definitely inspiring group of talented individuals for sure. Thank you so much for volunteering. Our association needs leadership people like you. We are going to be posting information about these candidates on our website and also in our newsletter. Just a reminder, there are 4 Realtor Director positions and 3 Realtor Director candidates have applied at this point. And there is 1 affiliate director position open still, and 1 affiliate director candidate has applied. Again, just a reminder, applications for the board of director positions are open through September 15th. That would be this coming Sunday. And voting will be open on September 17th and will run until October 13th. So please keep an eye out for an email or log into your CCAR account to vote. Voting results will be announced at our in-person October membership meeting on October 16th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Royal Oaks Country Club. We are going to be featuring a presentation by RMLS President and CEO, Kurt Von Wasmuth. You don't want to miss that. Breakfast will be served, and registration is available now through your CCAR account login. CCAR officers will be installed also at the CCAR installation and awards on December 4th, 10 a.m. at the AC Hotel on the Vancouver waterfront. Tickets will be on sale through also, again, your CCAR account login. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this up. Thank you for your patience during that little technical glitch that we had. Thank you so much to Alex for sponsoring. Thank you to Dennis, Gianetti as well. And thank you all so much for attending. I am going to already announce that this meeting is now adjourned, well ahead of schedule.